I'm really happy to welcome you, Melody and Thibaut, for this first Alumni Days webinar. It's the first time we organize a webinar with our alumni in the international field. Because you are both living currently in Taiwan. So Melody, you graduated from, you are Taiwanese, you went to Albi to study the master at farming, and you graduated in 2020. And Thibaut,
Yes.
you are French, and you graduated from the school as engineering in material for aeronautical and space in 2005. And so
Correct.
I will leave you the floor, because the idea is that you as alumni can share with us the experience you had, your trajectory since the graduation, your graduation in the school, and now what you're doing, and especially in Taiwan. So I will leave you the floor right now. And if you have questions, students, attendants, please do not hesitate to write it in the question and answer part. We will be happy to answer it at the end of the presentation.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Alexi. I will kick off the conversation, and then Melody can say a word. First of all, thanks a lot for the invitation, for the opportunity. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's always a pleasure to be back somehow in Albi, even if it's remote, and to be still in touch with that great community and great school. It's also very impressive to see the progress since 2005, the year of my graduation. I think the exposure and the internationalization of the school is pretty amazing. So thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for the school to give us the opportunity to have this presentation. And I'm very happy to show my country, to let people know what the Taiwanese feeling for studying in France and what we have in Taiwan. So let's begin, and you can ask any question, and then we will answer.
Okay, so briefly, we won't spend too much time on this slide. We divided the presentation in a few parts. First, to give you a little bit of information about Taiwan, about the key figures. Of course, this is not meant to be like a very deep presentation, but just an overall presentation. And then we'll focus on, of course, Melody career and her trajectory, and mine. You can go to the next slide, Alexi. Okay, so first, some people outside Taiwan, they usually they can be confused and think it's Thailand. It's not Thailand. It's a different country. Thailand is really much Southeast Asia, and Taiwan is actually in the heart of Asia, as you can see on the map. It's very close by plane, of course, to pretty much any country in Asia. And it's also very close to China geographically. The distance between China and Taiwan is actually about between 130 and 200 kilometers. So it's far, but it's not that far. Yeah, you can go to the next one. Okay, Taiwan is an island, as you can see, and it's a very particular island. There's a big chain of mountains with very high mountain in the middle. The highest one is Yushan, with almost 4,000 meters high. It's kind of a small territory. It's only 6% of France in surface. And you will see later that there's a lot of people on this island. There's a lot of islands around Taiwan that belong to Taiwan territory. And there's also a lot of earthquakes, because we are right on one of the area with a lot of movement of the plates below us. But fortunately, we don't notice most of them. Yeah, so you can see that we wanted to show this map because it's pretty much the opposite of the geography of there's a big mountain, so everybody is on the coast, basically on the plains. And there's 23 million inhabitants in Taiwan. It means that basically on only one small part of a small island, there's actually a bit less than 1/3 of France. So the density is pretty high, and it's consequently the island is very highly urbanized, especially on the part that is on the west coast. quick view on the history of Taiwan, which is usually not very well known. We decided to show you the main steps. There's trace of initial immigration into the Taiwan island all the way back from the 9th century from Southeast Asia. So the indigenous population was basically coming from Malaysia, Indonesia, and this area. When the Europeans started to discover the world and get some territory far from Europe, there was a lot of travel, including Portuguese occupation, Spanish presence, Dutch presence, French presence from the 16th to 19th century. And then big immigration from some province of China, which was basically starting from the 17th century. Until all the Sino-Japan War at the beginning of the 19th century, at the beginning of the 20th century and end of the 19th century, with a very strong and very important Taiwan occupation under Japan rule. And there is still a lot of influence here on a daily basis of the Japanese culture, in architecture, in organization, in food. There's and Melody can talk to it. There's a lot of older generation that can still speak some Japanese here.
Yes, my grandparents also can speak Japanese. They only speak Japanese and Chinese. They don't speak Mandarin because they went to the elementary school. The people are Japanese, so that's why when I was young, we listened Japanese also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very present. Actually, the area where I was living a couple of years ago was very close to an area where you could see the actual Japanese architecture from back in that epoch, in that time. So this was until the end of the Second World War, when the Republic of China basically exiled from the territory of China and came to Taiwan. When the People's Republic of China took over China. So there was some immigration at the time, very strong, but led by Chiang Kai-shek, who was the leader of Republic of China. So the nationalists of China at the time had to leave the China territory and come to Taiwan. And then this was actually the case until the democratic era, which started in the late 80s, early 90s, where we all had this famous Made in Taiwan, where the manufacturing of Taiwan took over, democracy took over, and the country really became like a very strong, developed country. Melody, if you want to share anything, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, Alexi, you can go to the next one. Yes, thanks. Okay, so here I think very quickly we wanted to show that according to some worldwide ranking, the score of Taiwan in terms of freedom is pretty high. It's actually higher than France. Of course, it depends on the criteria of the ranking, but it's very important for us to show this. There is obviously elections from the 90s with president, vice president. Taiwan has its own currency, the new Taiwan dollar. Okay, there is a capital in Taipei, of course. There's a very open on religion, and same-sex marriage, for example, is legal, and it's the first country in Asia where the same-sex marriage was allowed and legal. Can go to the next one, yeah.
Yeah, so after we know the Taiwanese culture and society, I think it's like Taiwan is ranked as the #1 democracy in the Asia, and I really feel it because Taiwan, when we were young, we already can have some. You can speak out. You can feel people accept that, and then you can fight many things. And also, Taiwan also the #10 democracy in the world. So, and the one thing is for the gender equality in Taiwan, it's very common especially for the politics things. Taiwanese already have existed 40% of legislators for women. So we keep the seat for for a reserved seat for a woman. So that's why we already select twice for the women's president. So I think it's a kind of in Taiwan, you can feel like a woman can be CEO, women can do a lot of things in Taiwan. Okay, you can go next. So next one is I will ask the people because I'm a Taiwanese. I travel a lot in Taiwan. Actually, Taiwan is a small island, so we still have other small islands around Taiwan. So for example, the Green Islands, Honghu, Maju, you can take a boat or flight and you go there to travel, go diving, and do a lot of fun things. So we don't need to go to Thailand to do something. Actually, in Taiwan, we can travel many things. Especially if you like the culture and the history, you can go to national place museums. A lot of Chinese people also come here to visit this place because it's very famous for Chinese in the world. So and the Hualien is a Tarago Gorge. I think people probably like this place because most of French told me they really like this place. And my favorite place probably is Taipei 101 because it's very convenient. My bachelor's university just next to the 101. So for the Zhoufen, it's the most popular place for Japanese. So it's the first one. Yes, it's this one. And then the Summer Lake is in the middle of Taiwan. And every year you can have a challenge. You can swim across in this lake. So they have one competition for that. And then what I really like is the night market street food in Taiwan because when I was in France, I really miss night market food in Taiwan because it's very tasty and very cheap. Okay, people, do you want to add any opinions?
Oh yeah, sure. So I forgot to mention, but I'm based in Taichung, which is middle of Taiwan. I'm not in Taipei, and so I'm actually very close to Sun Moon Lake, which is a place that I really like. And we have also a very famous night market in Taichung called Fengjiam Night Market, where it's like very lively and very cheap and super nice. But I cannot say I have one preference for these areas, but I can say that you can in Taiwan you can do surfing, you can do triathlon, you can run, you can ride your bike, you have like beautiful beach, and you have also a lot of culture. So yeah, I mean that's really good place to have fun outdoor.
Okay, next. Okay, I will talk about the education. As a Taiwanese, I study in France and I study in Taiwan for many years. What's the different things is like because the Taiwanese student, we always follow Confucian's paradigms. So it means like we always follow what the professor says. So actually in the class, we don't have that much opinion. But when I was friends, I think it's totally different. We only can make friends, or we only can in Taiwan. We can have a strongly connection with professor is after our graduation. But in France, you can speak out your opinions in class, and then if you don't ask question, it may very, very weird for the professors. So in Taiwan, we have many very good university. The National Taiwan University is the best university in Taiwan. Actually, the Japanese built this university, so you can see many the architecture in this campus. And then also the next one is the Tsinghua University and the National Yangming Jiaotong University. Both of them are the engineer school, but I feel it's not like specific for engineer. They still have other department, for example, life science, other department for biology or management. So it's also very big. Most of the time, you need to drive a car on campus. So another school is my school is the Taipei Medical University. Is is the best top one for the private school in Taiwan. So I will say like we already have some connection with the IMT means LB. It's a National Yangming Jiaotong University, and we also have the mentor in industry research and development center. So but it's people told me, otherwise I didn't know, because when I went to the France, the bureau didn't tell me. They told me I was the first one to get the scholarship to go to study the Ming LB. So yes, so in Taiwan it's quite common to have the students study abroad, and also a lot of foreigners come to Taiwan to study the language and also study the MBA and or the master and PhD. Okay, next one. Thank you.
Yeah, we wanted to focus also on the economy and the industry, because Taiwan is very well known for its manufacturing, and of course it kind of build a bridge with the activity of EMT, Me and Dalby. The economy of Taiwan is very successful. It's very dynamic. It started very late with like very basic product manufacturing, textile and footwear and basic sports goods like bike. But then very quickly in the mid-80s, it started to boom into something like mass production and mass consumer electronics, with very high pace of manufacturing and huge factories with very reliable products, computers, for example, and some other appliances. And of course, now you probably all know that Taiwan is very well known for its semiconductor economy, with giants and world leader like TSMC doing like microchips and nanochips, top in the world. It's actually a very serious topic here. And it's also generally the 21st economy in the world. So it's actually a good performance for such a small country. And very importantly, we don't really had like a recession years in the last, I would say 10 years, 5 to 10 years. There's always growth, even during the COVID years where everything was kind of stopped. In Taiwan, we didn't have any hard lockdown. So everybody was going to work and the factories never stopped. There's a very low unemployment. Everybody has a job here. Sometimes it's a job that are a little bit under the qualification, but there's very little people without a job, or not for very long. And of course, you may know some other brands like Giant, the bicycle brand, which is, I would say, top 2 in terms of volume for bike manufacturing, including high performance bikes in carbon. And we'll cover that later, because I work a little bit in that field. So a very strong economy at the moment, yes. You can go to the next one, Alexi. Yeah, so what we wanted to show here is that Taiwan is also obviously a very strong export country, a lot with China, a lot with Hong Kong. So China and Hong Kong is basically about 40% of the exportation. But also China is also exporting a lot of product to Taiwan as a step to the US market or Europe market sometimes. So there is, for example, Foxconn is established in China. They do some part for the Apple phone, and some components are going back and forth between China and Taiwan for assembly or for initial manufacturing. And so there's a very strong economic link between the two countries. What we wanted to show also with the chart is that both from the French Chamber of Commerce and the American Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan, there is still a lot of confidence if you talk to CEOs or company investing in Taiwan. Most of the people are still believe that the economy will keep going, and so that's something that is very important, because in the media recently we don't really see this kind of figures on Taiwan. Yeah, go ahead, Alexi. We can switch to the next one. Yeah, we wanted to give also a little bit of a landscape to show how rich the manufacturing in Taiwan is, with different sectors: biotech, digital, of course, bicycle, hardware, semiconductor, obviously, in different areas. And there is some system of scientific park, science park, and high precision park in different areas in Taiwan, led by the government, the local government, with special subsidies and incentive for companies to establish or to grow their manufacturing capabilities. What is interesting also is that the main companies in Taiwan, they also have facilities outside Taiwan, in China and Vietnam. And so it's not only concentrated only in the Taiwan territory. Yeah, go ahead, Alexi.
Yeah.
That's
So
you, Melody.
yes, so I will quick introduce myself. It's my profile, and I graduated from the Ming LB in 2020. So I studied the farming, like advanced pharmaceutical engineering program. So my bachelor is medical laboratory science and biotechnology. So after graduation, I come back to Taiwan, and then also I enter the medical device industry, and then I was the research associate. And because of I know the advantage of the Taiwanese industry, like semiconductor in the industry and the bioscience park. So that's why, as you see, the people already told you, like we already I located in the Hsinchu. It's the place, the biggest science park, and also have a motto of 90% of famous semiconductor companies here, and also have a bioscience park. Okay, can go next one. So first of all, I would like to thank for the internship. Because of the internship, I come back to Taiwan, and I do my internship in Taiwan, and I have opportunity to have across a different project. So I really advise if the students still work for do their internship, they should work very hard, because, for example, I was doing one project. It's not my project, but I saw this opportunity, so I wrote a proposal and sent to the French cosmetic exhibition, and the LVMH saw my proposal, and they had a meeting with me. So because of this, my experience, so I have the opportunity to explore the startup and incubator. So I created a company with others co-founder. So we already success to raise millions of US dollar last year. So now we just built a new company, and then we just finished our grand opening ceremony. And my company is doing the medical device company, is for the drug delivery device. So it's mean like we put the drug, and then we can use the inhalation route to let the medicine to have a good performance. Okay, next one. So why I did, many people ask me, even French people or my friends in France or Taiwanese, everybody asked me why I decided to come back to Taiwan. There's 3 reasons. The first one will be Taiwan is very competitiveness, the country. I have to say, like in Taiwan, not because I'm Taiwanese, because Taiwan have a lot of opportunity. Even if you study knowledge degrees, you can try to apply. They will give you some opportunity to let you try this job. For example, if you study language, it's still possible to enter the semiconductor in Taiwan, the company. So you may do the HR or something, because in Taiwan we adapt. We think people should have opportunity and have potential from your personal characteristics. So another thing is that Taiwan is very easy to do networking and connection. For example, last week I went to see a T-ball. I just took 40 minutes to take the train and the metro, and we just made up and had a dinner. So it means like we can always keep good connections, just half a day, and we meet important person or people, right? So another thing is you can see that Taiwan is a really safe city. I think the people also agree with that, because each time when I travel in France, I feel like I think Taiwan is very, for example, I forgot my phone in the U-Bike. It's kind of a bike, people can rent it and you can return it. And then I forgot it, and a police officer just find it and give me back. So they call my mom, and then my mom just know where I was. So, and also it's very friendly with the place for women. So even if it's midnight, we stay outside. We don't stay like 100% safe, but we say like it's not, there's no problem to go outside at midnight for women. Okay, next one. Okay, so I will say like the advance of the study, the working in Taiwan after my studying in France. I'm really explore the many different culture and the value and lifestyle. So because of this experience helped me to adapt different cultures. So it's helped me to have the different opinions and different views to do my project in company. So also another thing is because of I studied abroad before, and now I know what's the advantage of Taiwan and what's the disadvantage of Taiwan. So I can sharpen my skill and also can sharpen the people what's their impression for Taiwan. So another thing is why I work in Taiwan, because my background is bio and medical, and also I study engineering in France. So at the same time, so we also Taiwanese is very good at the hardware industry and also the software talent. So because of this reason, so I think if I will have an opportunity, so we can combine these resources together. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, so because also a lot of people ask me what I favorite like in France, I will share with everyone. Actually, France helped me a lot. I make a lot of friends from different culture, and also break out of the box. It means like probably in Taiwan, I just inside the box because I didn't know the world outside for me. I travel, but it's not mean I live there. But France is the only country I stay there for like almost 2 years, right? So I really learned this culture and also try to learn the language. So I feel very close to the French lifestyle. So another things like I always told Taiwanese people, without Swahili, don't claim you have experienced France, because I think in the engineering school, the Swahili is really amazing for Taiwanese people. We don't have that in Taiwan, and then we have a party, but not the same. People, do you agree with that?
Yes.
So okay, next one. So because of French culture, French school helped me a lot. So that's why when I come back to Taiwan, I also want to continue to do the sustaining of the bridge. I also want to help the Taiwanese students and Taiwanese people to have more to see the different point of view of the friends. So in the education, as you see, my profile, I also always come back to the school to help to do the industry lecture. So in the Taipei Medical University, they also have a collaboration with the Leo of the university. And then I also come back to tell them my experience in France, and I go back to tell the juniors if they want to go to France, how to do that. Even if they don't speak French, they also can speak, when they speak English, they can go. And then for the academics, last year, there's one student from the MINLB, they do the internship in my company. It's a remote internship. It's for M1 student. So, and also help the campus funds if there's any question to relative to the study the pharmaceutical engineering in France, or they want to study bio, they always can ask me. So another thing that I also want to do the bridge for the tech industry, like France and Taiwan. We are both of us are really good at the technology, but actually we don't have that much strong link. In the science park, we also have a lot of opportunity to go to Europe. Last year we went to Europe to go to the Germany. Yeah, so for the Germany the exhibition for the Medica. So there's so many opportunity to have the collaboration with France. Another last one, I will let the people to say more for the La French Tech Taiwan. I'm also the board member now, and now I charge in the digital health care events and also the support Women's Day. And for the Bureau Français, the Taipei, I was the moderator of the Café des Sciences for the brain science. So in totally, I really like France. I also like Taiwan. So that's why I continue doing these things. Okay, so next one. So conclusion. So I will say, it's my conclusion. I will always like, I really like the word say suffering life from France into my work and daily life. It makes me different from others, other Taiwanese. I always can share my French experience. We also can have the eat French food or just make a French food by ourselves. And then I think because of French culture make me myself now. So I always will pursuing the happiness and the professional growth in order to have to show my love to the Taiwan and France. Thank you. Next one is the people. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Melody. That's yeah. I do agree with many things that you said, and I think some of it is covered also in my slide. Yeah, I don't want to do too much self-promotion, just to introduce myself a bit more in detail. I'm married to Sarah. I have 2 kids. I've been now working for 18 years already, including 12 years in Asia and 7 years in Taiwan. As Alexis mentioned, I graduated in 2005, studying mainly option matériaux pour l'aéronautique et le spatial, so materials for aeronautical and spatial applications. And also Master 2 of research as a double degree on my last year. You can go to the next one. So what I do here, I started my consulting company. Now it's going to be 5 years ago already. And what I do basically is I help companies to work with each other. It can be companies that want to work with Taiwan suppliers or customers, or Taiwanese company that want to understand how to work better or to start working with European or Western companies or American company. As you can see, I chose to put some composite material there because this is a very important sector in Taiwan, both in terms of equipment, applications, also raw material production. And it's also a way to address different sectors, so to be diversified in terms of activity. So aerospace, of course, from my background, but not only automotive, bicycle industry, very important here in Taiwan. A lot of high performance bikes are made by Taiwanese company anywhere in the world. It could be in China, in Taiwan, or in Vietnam, or Cambodia, or even in Europe sometimes. You can be sure that if you have a bike in the world, there's something that is coming or has been made in Taiwan at some point. Maybe it's not very well known, but that's here we call it the paradise of the bicycle. So you can ride, but you can also buy a lot of components and frames and straight out of the factories. And of course, machinery, that's very important. So composite material for me was very important to be able to grow my consulting business, and also to address and to understand different sectors of the industry here. So I try to stay integrated into the local industry in that way. You can go to the next one, Alexi. One thing that I really wanted to address today, because I've been asked many times here in Asia over the last 12 years, And I try to explain this, and sometimes people, they don't realize, especially French people, they don't realize that there's a difference between the perception of engineering abroad and what our conception of French engineering. Even by definition, if you look at general definition, I put Google here where you can find other definition. Usually engineering, it's understood globally as very scientific and technology, like a branch that is quite technical, connected to machines, engines, or construction and stuff like that. The French engineering, as you know, at the Mines d'Albi, it's more than this. It's the way to analyze and I would say address problems or challenges, industrial sometimes, but in different aspects, not only technical. And to me, this was very important when I started to work as a consultant, because some people, they think consultant means technical expert. It's actually not the case. It's actually a role where you have to understand all aspects of one problem, not only a technical aspect, but also human aspect, also management aspect, process aspect. And that's something that is not so present in Taiwan. And that's why, to me, it's very important, because I do this basically every day. And I try to explain this as much as I can. So I hope this can be interesting for the current students in Albi. You can go to the next one. Yeah, so briefly, as I explained at the beginning, I studied in Albi in Toulouse. I started to work in Europe, in Madrid, in the aerospace environment. And then I went to Shanghai very, very early, after a few years working in Europe, and then Taiwan, because my company at the time was setting up a new site in Taiwan. And I wanted to say that doing China first, Taiwan after that, it was actually a good sequence. You can see like the sometimes the roughness of the China territory, and also going to something a bit more peaceful in Taiwan. You can go to the next one, Alexi. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I started my career in big groups, working with Airbus, or in an Airbus environment with Capgemini, for example, AP+. And then when I went to like smaller entities, that's also something that I wanted to share with the potential students here, is that it's very good to start with big companies, because you understand the level of quality needed by very established and solid companies to make a very high-end product. But in my opinion, at some point, it's very interesting also to start looking at different smaller size companies, smaller or medium size companies that are more human scale, where you can feel you add more value to a project. All the way to starting my own company by myself and working with startups. So startups is actually the very difficult also, but it's very small teams depending on the level of maturity, but also very interesting. So now, yeah, today I'm working mainly as a consultant. I have also some projects and some partnership with other consultants like AST. You see here, Asia Sports Tech, sorry, based in Hong Kong. Very focused on sport tech, because, well, you know, they are in Asia. I love Asia. They do sports. I love sports, and they do technology. And I'm an engineer. I like it also. So that was a very good fit. You can go to the next one, Alexi. Yeah, something that Melody addressed, touched a little bit in her slides. There's a strong presence of France in Taiwan. So even if the number of people is not so high, 3,000 people, more or less, French people here, coming here for different reasons, there is a big representation. So the Bureau Français is basically the local consulate. We cannot say consulate because legally it's not a consulate, but the people living there are working and living as a consulate. There's a very active Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan, the CCI France-Taiwan, with, as you can see, many big French companies active, and also smaller companies that are into the network and into the ecosystem. Business France is very important also for new graduated, because you have access to VIE and sometimes VIA. And Business France is actually the entity that is coordinating the whole thing. And they brought a lot of VIE in Taiwan in the recent years, especially with Thales, the French company, and some other, with Decathlon and some other companies as well. And of course, there is also Franco-Taiwanese, I would say, new companies or mature startup, the one that you see here, Enogia, Ubique, Ciel et Terre. So Enogia is doing like small turbine that are very efficient, very high tech. Ubique is doing smart meters to measure the power consumption. Ciel et Terre is a very good company in environmental solar panels on water, very successful now. Soitec is using their technology to optimize the energy also for the semiconductor industry. And you have also some other example. If you have any questions on this, I mean, feel free to reach out and we can discuss more in detail. The next slide is more about the French Tech Taiwan. I wanted to explain this a little bit more because this is basically how Melody and I met. Even if we were alumni from Albi, we actually met each other at the French Tech Taiwan. French Tech is very important. It's a non-profit association. So we are not, nobody's making money with French Tech in the association. But what we think is it's a good way to understand the network, understand what's going on, and also to keep an eye on the new tech. And startup is very important for this. There's many startups that are doing stuff that are not successful, but there are also some very promising startup or scale up becoming unicorn. In Taiwan, there's a few examples that are very interesting. And French Tech is a good way to be integrated into the network. So I would not encourage enough people coming to a new territory, whether it's in Taiwan or anywhere else, to be in touch with French Tech because you can meet a lot of people and you can understand a bit more the opportunities. Yeah, so this is in line a bit with Melody's opinion of living in Taiwan. So from my point of view as a French people living in Taiwan for so long, now, I mean, this is the closest to something concrete I wanted to show. There's many ranking of for expats globally. This one is quite recognized internations. And clearly you can see by the figures, by the surveys that living in Taiwan is actually very nice. It's very peaceful, very pleasant. What you see here in a green square, green rectangle is Taiwan is ranked #1 in health and well-being. So it's very easy to eat healthy, to be outside, to have sports, and to feel good here. It's very peaceful, very safe. And the daily life is very, how to say, yeah, I cannot say another word. Like, it's really peaceful. There's nothing like really aggressive. I think it's coming also from, you know, the Japanese culture and the Asian culture that is still here, to be very polite and to try to be as harmonious as possible. And that's one of the reasons why we stay here, me and my family. And of course, the red rectangle, the language, Chinese Mandarin is not an easy language. It's not something that is easy to learn if you don't spend time on it. Even with a lot of years, it's very difficult to have like a decent level of Mandarin. Fortunately, in Taiwan, you have a lot of people speaking good English and helping you a lot with that. So I wanted to show a little bit also a drawback of that. But yeah, I mean, the happiness level, I wanted to say an example when Melody was talking about this, but it's very common here to see, there's a lot of scooters, right? In Taiwan, many people ride the scooters to work or to go wherever. And it's not uncommon to see a scooter with a helmet on, sometimes the phone and the keys, and it just stays there. Nobody steals anything. So you just, also there's camera everywhere, but basically nobody would think of stealing a helmet on a scooter, basically, which is, as you know, it's different in other countries. So yeah, I just wanted to emphasize this. And yeah, I mean, I could not encourage enough people to have a look by themselves and make their own opinion on Taiwan. You can go to the next one. I think it's the last one, yeah. So yeah, this is our contact, the LinkedIn and our email, personal email. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We'll be happy to help. And yeah, come to visit us. It's a nice place. Yes. We'll be happy to show you around.
Thank you. I think we are very happy to let the students.
Yeah, that's why I'm back. So we will see. Just before the question, we had a comment from Nabil who congratulates you for your excellent presentation to both of you. And I see that Sarah also is here. And Evan already has a question for Thibaut. How was it as a French to arrive in a new continent, a new country, a new culture, which may be very different from Europe? Was it an easy adaptation?
Yeah, I think that's a key point. It's like I said, I did it gradually. I would say I left France to go to Spain, so the cultural gap was not so difficult. And then going from Europe to China, it took some effort to get adapted. But I was lucky enough to not be alone. I was with my girlfriend at the time, who is my wife now. So together we had made that decision to go and see something else and to discover somewhere else. So I think it's a little bit of a state of mind and an attitude where, I mean, you can go someplace where when you're obliged or where you have to go, it will be more difficult to adapt. When you go with a positive attitude, I mean, it's easier. And so that was for the first step. And the step China to Taiwan, to be honest, is very, very easy because Taiwan is very welcoming. It's very well organized. I wanted to mention something also about this, is that the trains are not delayed here. I've been here for 7 years, taking the high-speed train, like maybe 3-4 times per week. Not even one time was it delayed. So it's just well organized and it's smooth. So actually for Taiwan in particular, the adaptation was very, very easy. Now, I mean, if you're alone and if you do a big step and you do a big change in your life, it can be a bit more challenging. And my recommendation here would be, like I said, get in touch with local communities, get some friends, go to social events and try to meet people. I can assure you in Taiwan, you will have people helping you and being very friendly and very social. I hope it answers the question.
Yeah, I think. Thank you, Thibaut. If you have any other question, the attendants, you can write it, you can type it. Melody and Thibaut, I was wondering also, I see
there's still one question from Evan
yes.
about the geopolitics,
let's speak about this, and then I will ask my question. So
sure.
I hope you don't mind talking about geopolitics, but with the current situation between Taiwan and China, how are you living with this situation in mind every day? Do you avoid thinking about it in order not to get scared, or is it hard not to think about it? It's true that from the French perspective, we don't hear much about Taiwan in the TV news, except when talking about geopolitical tensions. So I don't know, how is it there? Can you
Melody, you want to start, or you want? So maybe the two opinions will be interesting to see, because
no, I want to ask Thibaut, are you afraid of that? Because I know a lot of each time the news come, like probably foreigner feel like not safe. I don't know, but for me it's like
go ahead.
We know. For me it's like since I was young, we have this some news every day. So we totally know. Sometimes it's like global news, and inside in China also they have their news, and in Taiwan we have our news. So we just learn how to tell the news, you have your own opinion. You can feel what kind of way is the right way, and you just go your way. And then if it happens, I think it's just happened. You cannot avoid any situation, but I think we just try to do the right thing. We try to keep democracy. We just want to do something like support democracy, support the equality in Taiwan. That's what we want to do. But actually, we have a different passport. We can travel everywhere. For example, I can stay in Europe without any visa for 3 months. So each time when I go back to France, there's no problem for me. I can go to United States without any visa. Korean, Japan, and like French also. Like our passport is like very useful also. So, and also we have a different currency and a different education. For me, we speak the same language, Mandarin, but it's like totally different culture for me. Like education is different. When I made a lot of Chinese in France, I discovered, actually their education and mine is that totally different. We have a different situation. Yeah.
And I was wondering, sorry, Thibaut, I let you answer, and then I have another question for you.
Okay, sure. So I think there's two aspects of the question. So first of all is because you mentioned something important, Alexis, in the media. Of course, as French, I look at the French media, I read the French media, and I look at Chinese media, Taiwanese media, and other media in the world. I think it's important to put what you see in the French media in perspective with the whole news background and landscape. Of course, if you have only news in France where Taiwan means insecurity and tension with China, well, naturally you will think it's always like this and people are scared all the time. But here, I mean, it's not at all the perspective we have. Like Melody said, and it's the same for me, since I arrived in Asia, both in China and Taiwan, there's always discussion, and this topic between China and Taiwan is always present in the news, any news. So it's kind of it's a normal piece of news that we have almost every day, but it's also kind of diluted into everything else that is happening here, including, economics, including travel, including anything, sports or whatever. So it's, to me, the question of being scared and being in tension, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think we wanted to show also today that, it's a peaceful country. There's the daily life when there's a news about China sending some planes close to Taiwan, it just doesn't affect us on the daily life. So it's, I think it might be difficult to accept that from outside, but we don't feel the tension really here. It's just part of the history of Taiwan that is like this. And also, I'm not a geopolitical expert, but I know a little bit about Taiwan economy and the relationship between Taiwan economy and other countries. And this is very strong. I mean, the economy is very strong, and the international exchange between Taiwan and other countries are very, very strong, including China. Mm-hmm. So in the last years, I see that this is very stable. Of course, there's a lot of noise. But I always say, if you don't want to be elected, if you don't want to sell some weapon, and if you, don't want to sell newspaper, maybe you have a different perspective of what you see in the news. But I mean, that's just my point of view,
And so for all our students, because Melody mentioned that we have some agreements with Taiwanese universities. So for our students willing to go for an exchange or for internships in Taiwan, so you definitely recommend them to take this opportunity.
Absolutely, for sure. And I think we try to, yeah.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just briefly, we try to show also there's a lot of links between the profile of an EMT MINDALB student and Taiwan. There's a lot of manufacturing, a lot of industry, and a lot of, I would say, exchange and internationalization of activities here. So overall, I think there's a lot of bridge that can be built between MINDALB students and Taiwan in particular.
Melody, do you want to add something?
Yes, I think we should support it. It's why I did help the previous student do that. And then I think even if she studied a French programs, but she's a Chinese, so she can understand Mandarin. So that's why she can do a remote internship in my company. But it's still very different because you can know the different industries. You can know if the first thing you can know the culture. If you arrive in Taiwan, you can know and you can learn a lot. And the second thing is you can contact with different people and also different industries, and that is important for your life. And probably you just spend 6 months, and you can also travel around Taiwan and also go to Japan, Korea easily. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really good choice.
Okay. And so for our students willing to go for an exchange, it's pretty easy because they just have to apply in IMT MINALB, and then we will do all the process with the universities and everything. But for our students willing to look for an internship, what would you recommend them to do if they want to find an internship in Taiwan? And my second question is, in your companies, do you provide internships for maybe IMT MINALB students or French engineering students?
Melody, you want to answer that, or?
You can answer first. You want to answer first?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I can. Yeah. So I think understanding a bit the ecosystem here first is important before sending an internship application. And I think team in Delby is very good at training the students to personalize and to tailor the application before applying to a job. And so I think there's a little bit of a strategic thinking to do before sending CVs and resumes to any company for an internship in Taiwan. Maybe what I would do is maybe narrow down a bit the list of companies that are working in a specific sector that you are targeting, and try to see specific contact there, try to find specific contact there. And we can help with this, especially on French company here. My company itself, TB Solution, I don't take students. I'm only one-person company working with other consultants, but I have a lot of customers that are actually looking sometimes for international internships. So, if there is anything related to what I do, what I explain, I'm happy to receive the summary. Actually, what I would say also is that maybe going through, Business France, like I said, French Tech Taiwan actually has a very good website about job offers and including internships that maybe you can share with you, Alexis. And maybe the Bureau Français also. Bureau Français is easy to connect. They have contact on their website, and they have also some kind of visibility for internships, or they can put you in touch with relevant people. So this is what I would do. I would say for the French, I would say, ecosystem here.
Okay.
Melody, do you want to say the word maybe on your field?
Yes, I think it's for my topic, like for example, the medical part. If you study medical, it's probably very hard to enter a local hospital to do your internship or lab. But for the school, you can, if you are interested in the research lab, you also can do internship in the university. We have many university and professors are foreigner also. And for example, one of my professors, he's Canadian. He speaks good French and good English. So, and then another thing is like you can search the international company in Taiwan. We have so many companies in Taiwan. For example, the Google also have like Taiwan is the biggest hardware R&D center for Google. So it's only one in the Asia. So all people in there, they can speak English. So they have so many jobs, manufacturing, the production, or R&D, the project manager. So I saw many jobs for foreigner, they go to the good company. So if you want to, your first of all, you want to join a big company for your internship, why not try to come to Taiwan? Because it's probably it's much easier than you apply in France, probably.
Yeah. And I was wondering, speaking about the language, maybe that's a question more for Thibaut. If I don't speak Chinese Mandarin, how difficult is it to live, to find a work in Taiwan, and to stay there?
I would say there's two ways. There's kind of two profiles a little bit of people coming to work to Taiwan. Some people, they just come here with their company and they don't necessarily have to speak Chinese because they just work on a specific project and they are working for an international companies. In that case, you can live actually without speaking almost a word of Chinese Mandarin. So that's one situation. In my daily work, for example, I barely use Chinese. Sometimes for some aspects that I can handle in Chinese, I use that, but it's mainly with international people. Having said that, one of the regrets I have is not to have started international, especially in China and in Taiwan, experience by just taking 6 months to learn the language very good on an intensive way, just to make sure that you can navigate a bit better, and then you probably have access to more opportunities. Having said that, the type of opportunities you will have speaking Chinese will be maybe if you go to like a very local Taiwanese company, the style of management and the style of the culture of company can be like a big gap. I know some people here, they speak Chinese, French people, for example, they start with a Taiwanese company and then they try to come back to a more international culture. And so that's one aspect. But yeah, I mean, there's people here, foreigners here, that don't speak a word of Chinese.
Okay. And one last question for you, Melody. Since you are from Taiwan, you graduated from France, and you came back to Taiwan, do you plan to come back to France someday, maybe, well, to visit and for touristic purpose, but also for business purposes? Do you plan to work with French companies?
Yes, actually, I still keep in touch with the French connections because I think in 4 years, I think in 4 years I still have one visa I can apply and then to stay in France for 1 year. Like probably I don't do work, I can just travel in 1 year there. But if I don't think so. But I still look for because I have my own company now. But we still have some business with the French parts, like cosmetic parts, probably in the future. So I'm not sure this year, but I'm sure like in the future, I will try to visit or try to work in France, but not long stay in France. Like I think the 1 to 3 years fine, but not so long because I still prefer to live in Taiwan. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. And I think we don't have any more questions, so I think we arrive at the end of this webinar. I don't know. I would like to thank you very much, Melody and Thibaut, for this first conference we organized for the Alumni Days. So the Alumni Days is an initiative by Campus France. That's the first edition. And so you are the first ones to organize this webinar, but next year we will try to organize another webinar with another destination. So I don't know if you want to add something to conclude, but I would really like to thank you on behalf of my team and of all the school, because we've been in touch for several months now, speaking about this conference. So it was really, really interesting. As Isabella wrote in the chat, I think we've all learned a lot of things about Taiwan, much more than we expected. And it really gives us the, at least in my case, I really want to go there to discover this country that I didn't really know before. So I leave you the floor for the conclusions.
Okay, well, maybe I go first and I leave the last word for Melody. No, thanks a lot to you, Alexi. I think it's a great initiative from the school and from your department and from you in particular to organize this type of webinars, and not only on Taiwan. I think other topics would be very interesting also. Happy to contribute a little bit to this, and it's always a pleasure to try to bring a bit more experience and more help to future or current students from the school. And so, yeah, of course, you have our contact, and feel free to reach out if you need anything else.
Okay, my turn. I will do a conclusion. So thanks so much for the LSE and the school and everyone's. And then I think it's like as a Taiwanese, I'm very happy to be here to share all my experience and what I feel for French and for French culture, for French school, for French education. And I really enjoy to still have all the connection with the French people. So if you need any help, because from the screen, I cannot show how much passion I have, So we can have if you need any help, you can just contact me, and then I will try to help you. Yeah. So I hope the school also can have organized other activity for the alumni.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe we will try to organize a mission to Taiwan. That will be a good plan, and so we'll be not remotely, but we will see you for real.
Yeah, okay. Philippe Lours already said he wanted to come back. So yeah, it will be, if you come back with him, it will be interesting. Yeah, we can show you around.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much again, Melody and Thibaut, and have a nice night because it must be late now. And we are just beginning of the afternoon, but for you, it's very late.
7 p.m.
It's even 7 p.m.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you very much,
Okay,
and
thank
see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Merci. Au revoir.